Hey guys, welcome back to the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the 2022 housing market. Welcome back to the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast. We took a little break during the holidays and are back now in the year 2022. It is the future already.
Yep.
I'm here with Tom Krieger. He is the head of the Tom J. Krieger team, and I'm Joe Brown, and head of the marketing division within the Tom J. Krieger team. So today we are going over what is happening in the 2022 housing market, and immediately we're kind of looking at these interest rates going up higher and higher and higher, and I see our current buyers sort of sweating it a little bit, especially under new construction, since that takes a lot longer to go through.
Absolutely.
So what are interest rates doing anyway?
Well, Joe, first of all, thanks for having me here again. I appreciate it. And Happy New Year to you and your family. I hope that this year brings us a beautiful daughter, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's true. I'm having a daughter here in March, so it's exciting.
We're all excited about that as a family here. Hey, Joe, so talking about interest rates, I'm not Nostradamus, okay, but I can make predictions based upon what I see, what supporting documentation and information and statistics are telling us, and everything is telling me that the Fed has to raise interest rates. Now, are they going to do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? I've heard as much as 7 interest rate raises in 2021 and in 2022 and 23. So that's not 7 in this year, but that's a period of 2 years where they may be raising the rate 7 times, okay? And normally when they raise a rate, it's a quarter or an eighth. So if you even do a quarter, that's like 1 3/4 points higher than where it's at right now, which is roughly 3.25%.
Okay.
So we could be as high as 5% by the end of 2023. Now, a lot of people are freaking out because we've had such, historically low interest rates.
Sure.
So what I want to do, Joe, is I want to talk to you about what possibly could happen just this year. Mm-hmm. Let's just kind of push out this year. I honestly believe interest rates by the end of this year could be as high as 4.5%.
Wow.
And a lot of people are going, wow, how's that going to happen? Well, I'm going to tell you how that's going to happen, because we have runaway inflation right now. We're at 7% inflation year over year right now, and that's not factoring in all of the things that we really should be concerned about, food and energy, because they don't put that in the inflation numbers. If you add that into the inflation numbers, it's like 9.3%. Okay. So one of the things I've heard from the statisticians was today, the 14th of January 2022, people have less money in their savings account this year than they had a year ago. We were talking a year ago about how much money people have in their savings accounts and how much they've saved in their checking accounts, because we had COVID. People weren't going places. They weren't spending money. So they were just putting it in the bank, putting it in the bank, putting it in the bank. Well, this inflation from last year to this year has eaten that up to a point where people have less money now in the bank saved than they had the year before. Not that they spent it foolishly.
Sure.
But the costs to buy the items they bought last year are about 9 to 10% greater.
They've risen.
Yes.
So in speaking to that too, not to get too much into the weeds with the consumer price index, where people were buying, and is that a result of quote, quote, money being too cheap to borrow?
That's part of it.
Okay.
The other aspect is, we all know COVID came. We've had this supply chain issue. The producer price index, and again, not getting to the weeds, but what it costs the people who manufacture a product, how much more it costs them to manufacture the same thing this year than it did last year. That's up 7.2%.
Wow.
Okay, so so even if they don't raise the price for profit, they just raise the price not to lose money, things are 7.2% greater.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
everybody wants to make a little profit.
Sure.
So, realistically, 9.5% is what we're starting to see as real inflation. If you get down to the nitty gritty, take all the BS that the government likes to give you out of the question. So that dollar pack of gum is now $1.10.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so the reason the rates are going up is because the Fed is trying to temper. One, it's been cheap for a long time.
Yep.
To borrow.
Right.
And two, to temper this inflation. So that's why these rates must go up, right? These rates must increase.
Yes, and the reason behind it, that some of the nitty gritty behind it, is that the velocity of money, they're trying to slow it down.
Okay.
Okay. When money moves too quickly, prices rise too fast.
Okay.
Okay. And when money's cheap, people are looking to make lots of profit.
Yep.
Okay. Then they're going to use that money to make profit. All right. We're going to try and slow the profit margin, or the Fed is going to try and slow the profit margin by raising interest rates.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think another point that we should bring up during this is that what is a good, and let's phrase this question to you. What is a good thing to invest in while this inflationary that we haven't seen since the early 80s?
Yeah.
What is a good thing to invest in order to not feel like you're quote losing money, or maybe the purchase power of the money that's in your bank is not producing near as much as what it could be or should be? What's a good thing to invest in?
So I'm going to throw you a curveball here, Joe.
Okay.
You're going to want me to say real estate, or you're going to think I'm going to say real estate.
Sure.
But let me tell you the real thing that you need to do. Pay off your debt.
Sure.
In rising interest rates, debt is the biggest consumer of your wealth. And here's why. Most of your credit cards are on a floating scale. They're on a LIBOR.
Right.
Okay? So as the prime rate goes up, your minimum payment of $25 a month maybe goes up to $40, $60, $90, $110 a month.
Okay.
Every month, you're obligated to make that minimum payment.
So that asterisk next to the
Yes.
next to the number that they charge you in your APR and interest rate,
It floats.
it floats around.
So I'm going to say to you, during rising interest rates, the most important thing for you to do, or in rising inflation rates, the most important thing for you to do is pay off debt.
Okay.
Get your debt paid off.
Interesting.
Because that rate of return is significant, because it's the return of the interest back into your pocket by not paying it.
I see.
Okay?
Sure.
Now, from a tangible type of investment, real estate would be the next thing that I would strongly suggest people to do. So let's just use simple math. If we have a 10% inflation rate, and things are inflating 10% a year, if you own a home, the whole value of that home should appreciate by about 10%, right?
Okay. Yeah.
When you buy the home, you only invest a fraction of the cost of that home into the property. So let's just say that you put in 10% of the purchase of the home to buy the home. You control 100% of the value of the home with 10% of your own money put in. And the sake of this discussion, let's say that it was a $100,000 house. If you're investing $10,000 or 10% to purchase that $100,000 house, and the house is appreciating at 10%, your house is going to be worth $110,000 at the end of the year.
Gotcha.
You invested $10,000 into the house is worth $110,000. You've made 100% return on your invested money.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's a solid investment.
Now, those
there.
are simple numbers.
Sure. Yeah.
You can see, though, the leverage of the unit, the house, is what's appreciating, not the down payment money.
Gotcha.
So when people are purchasing a home, a lot in a high inflationary time, My recommendation is to lock as low of an interest rate in as you can, put as little money down as you can, and take the rest of that money and leverage it someplace else.
Gotcha.
So the value of the entire unit appreciates at 10% with maybe 10% invested into that unit.
Okay.
Okay?
And that's it could be a year-over-year compounded interest.
Exactly.
Which is the best type
Right.
of interest for you.
Yes.
Not for your creditors.
No, it's not. Now, we don't want to see inflation carried out for 10, 15
Sure.
years. We don't want that.
Sure.
These are things you want to do now
Yep.
during these times. Hopefully, by the tightening of the credit, we'll slow down the inflation rate. See, Joe, I was around 40 years ago when we had these crazy inflation rates,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So I know what happened then and how the Fed clamped down on the spending and the borrowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I want to
yeah.
just share with the people that right now inflation is a killer for our savings, and it's really a killer if we have debt that is what we call reoccurring debt, like credit card debt. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it's on a fluctuating like a LIBOR scale.
Gotcha. So I think this might work best as in an illustrated manner.
Yeah.
This may not translate well across a podcast, but we're going to try to do our best, and we're going to have a supplemental that everyone can download. And then on our YouTube channel, of course, it'll be easiest to check it out. So let's get reconfigured for that, and we'll see you in just a few.
Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
Also, we are licensed realtors practicing equal housing.
Now, let's get you back to the podcast.
Okay, Tom. So now we're all set up to do an illustration here as far as what affordability looks like when the interest rates change as they move up.
Right.
In this instance.
Yep.
So currently, what is in the example that you're going to give us the starting number of a mortgage?
Okay. So what I'd like to do, Joe, is I'd like to illustrate on the whiteboard here. And everybody, this is our first try at this, so bear with us, okay? So let's look at a first-time home buying couple here in Tucson, Arizona. And by the way, if you're in a different part of the United States, we can help you out in other parts of the United States with this. It's just not only in Tucson that we can help you out, okay? But here, first-time home buyer, average sales price is about $350,000, okay? All right. Now, at the current interest rate, which is about 3.25%, and if you're going to purchase with, let's use this, we'll go 10% down, okay? That would be $35,000 down. You'd have a mortgage payment here. The mortgage payment the mortgage amount would be $315,000. Okay? Your payment on that, so that's your mortgaged amount. All right. Your payment on that would be $1,367 a month for the principal and the interest. So we'll go through that again. Purchase price. So we're going to use PP for purchase price. Interest rate, INT, is 3.25. The down payment, we'll make it green because it's coming out of your pocket, okay?
Right.
The amount that you owe, we made it in red because you're in the negative. You have to pay this back, would be $315,000, and your monthly payment, just for your principal and just for your interest, is $1,367. Okay?
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you how this is going to affect somebody when the interest rate goes from 3.25% to 4.5%. Okay? So it goes up 1.25 points.
Yeah.
And that could easily happen in this marketplace. Let's say you use the same down payment money, $35,000 is your down payment money. That That was 10% of the other price, but you're gonna see it's gonna be way more than 10% of this price, okay?
Yeah.
So that's your down payment money, all right? And let's say we don't want to increase this. This is all we can afford because you make so much money a year, and this is the only payment they're gonna allow us. So our payment still needs to stay at $1,367, okay? That has to be our principal and interest. These are the two numbers right here that we need to figure out, okay? This payment at this interest rate will only allow you to borrow, let me get to the right color here, will only allow you to borrow $270,000, get my numbers correct, $840.
Well, that's a big difference there.
Right there is $45,000 less in borrowing power,
Right.
right?
Right.
So how does that affect our purchase price? We still have our 35. We've got the 35,000.
Yeah.
On to the 270. The price range we're looking to purchase a property is 305,000, let's say $800. That's the purchase price. You're losing $45,000 worth of purchasing power if you want to stay at this payment. Or you have to stay at that payment.
Yeah.
Because they price your payment, the amount you're able to pay on how much you make a year. Okay?
Gotcha.
So just 1.25% costs you $45,000 in buying power.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Now here, let's throw another caveat in here. Remember I talked to you about inflation?
Mm-hmm.
10%
Yeah.
inflation,
Yeah.
right? Take 10% off of that because it costs you $10% more to buy that house a year from now. Take $30,000 off of that. You are looking at a $275,000 purchase a year from now.
That's a huge difference in the type of property, even. A $350,000 property compared to a
Exactly.
$275,000 property.
Exactly. You and I know this, and we're in the business, right?
Right.
This goes from I like to not sure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is what waiting can do to you if you don't take action now.
Yeah, that's a huge
Now,
difference.
We're trying to make this simple. I'm
Right.
using colors. This is your money. There could be a way, if you talk with a lender or give us a call, where we can show you that we might be able to raise this when the interest rate's there by not using all of this money for the down payment and taking some of this money to buy the interest rate down.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now that gets too much in the weeds for something like this, Joe, but there's a way that you might be able to still buy this, but you're gonna have less money for the down payment, but you can stay within your,
Affordability range.
yes, your
Yeah.
monthly payment,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So I wanted to share with everybody, this is very important. Don't discount the inflation and the depreciation of your buying power when these rates start to climb.
And that's not depreciation of a property value.
No, that's
Just buying power.
that's the depreciation of your ability to buy,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. I see.
Now, it's really important that you sit down and take some time with your financial advisor, with a good real estate agent, with a loan officer,
Yeah.
and put together a plan so that you're not behind the eight ball. And here's the other thing, Joe. If you don't have as many buyers out there that can afford $350, what's going to happen to the sellers? They're either
Yeah.
going to keep this house longer,
Yeah.
or they're going to have to adjust their price here.
Which still plays into the part of not having enough inventory on the market.
Exactly.
So it could
Right.
decrease
I'm
even
not
further.
saying the pricing of homes are going to drop.
Sure.
What I am saying is the buyers out there
Yep.
are going to drop
Yeah.
because they're not going to be able to afford as much. Now, that may be a blessing in disguise because we have more buyers than we have sellers right now.
Yeah.
So maybe by this going up, and again, we're speculating here.
Sure.
By this going up, as far as the interest rate and
Inflation.
Inflation. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I just don't like that word. That's why I'm having trouble. It's a Freudian.
It's a dirty
slip.
word.
Yeah, it's a dirty
The
word
I
for
word.
us, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll slow the buyers down so that we'll have enough homes.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll make it easier. But the net bottom line is that home sellers are going to be sitting in their house a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think there's something that happens where maybe realtors are viewed as not being able to give this type of advice, right? But I think when you have a fantastic realtor on your side, they can go through something like this with you, and someone who has either lived through it or understands it to its core, which, I mean, this is a huge difference in affordability.
Right.
And knowing this and understanding this rather than someone who just opens a door for you, there are some different types of realtors out there. That's why I think it's important. We have a huge database of people who we work with across the country.
Yep.
As far as professional realtors who do it full time. They go through coaching. They know all of this stuff front to back. So you can always reach out to us and we can connect you with someone in your area. And I know we always harp on this, but I think it's good to have someone who you know and trust and has been in it and understands it all. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this, and hopefully you're watching this as well. If we gave you some really good nuggets here, be sure to click our follow button here, and we're going to try to bring you all this valuable information that you can continue to check back in with us on. And that's our goal here. We don't want to hide any information. This is all important stuff, at least in our eyes, and hopefully in yours if you're going to be purchasing or selling a property.
And pay debt down.
Pay debt down. That's a big one.
That's my big one for 2022. Pay debt down.
There you go. All right, guys. Until the next one, we'll see you next time.
Hey, thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team. If you are thinking about buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, please reach out to us. We are local here in Tucson, Arizona, but we are also connected to over 4,000 agents across the US. So again, looking to buy, sell, or invest in your hometown, reach out to us and let us connect you.